I mean, you read the title of the video, you know we're making a taco farm. This is probably my weirdest project yet. Welcome back, everyone, to Create Dinosaurs, episode 21, where, yeah, I want to make a taco farm, and that is probably not a sentence I ever expected to say in my life. But, like, you know, last episode and everything, we went and built this nice restaurant, looks really nice and everything, and if you remember, the name that we picked out for this restaurant was the Tacosaurus, because I am a king of comedy. Please clap for me. Really, world? Really? You do that on my moment? But anyway, yes, so this is the restaurant Tacosaurus and everything, and I need to get a taco farm and stuff, which is gonna be a bit of a problem, because as you can see from this wonderful recipe in Pam's Harvest Craft and stuff, this is a complex recipe. It's like, you know, we need to have some sort of beef and everything, but it can't be cooked. It has to be raw. We've got to have lettuce, we need cheese or tofu or something, and then we need a tortilla, which is made with cornmeal, which of course requires corn. There's so many steps, and I need to automate all of those. So yeah, let's get to work on that, because this is gonna require a bit of experimentation. So of course, the recipe that we're using, like, to make the taco and everything is from a mod called Pam's Harvest Craft, but the thing is, it does seem to work with Create if we put the right ingredients in. However, I do need to do a little bit of experimentation with this, because I am not entirely sure if this mixer is going to work with something like the cutting board. Because the issue with something like the cutting board is it doesn't get used up in the recipe, and of course, because it's an item that isn't originally in Create mod, I don't entirely know if it's going to work. Alright, so let's see. So the tortilla goes in with the beef, the lettuce, the cheese, and then finally the cutting board, and it's mixing. That's a good sign. Now, right, I believe so. Okay, yeah, the cutting board is still in there along with our taco. But my question then is, what if this is given an output? So, okay, that did chuck out the cutting board as well. What if I chuck the cutting board back in? Does it still get chucked out? No, it doesn't. So it's only after the recipe. Great. That has just made this process a whole lot more complicated, because what that now means is instead of just being able to chuck all of the stuff into a basin to mix it together and everything, and it will just leave all of the equipment in the basin itself, because of the fact that it then spits the equipment out with the product, that actually means we need to take the equipment and put it back into the basin afterwards. I think we're going to need to mess with something new in Create mod here, which I haven't done. Right, let's lay out the steps that this is going to need to follow here. Or at least just every single individual part that this is going to need. So first of all, we've got to grow lettuce and corn because they're both needed. Oh, now we could simplify the process if we don't use cheese and instead we use tofu, because this can be done with soybeans. So I assume that's just another plant, which we might have, although I doubt it. Let's see, does anything here look like a soybean? I don't see one. Okay, but a soybean would make this much easier. And then what's this beef alternative? So, tofu, black pepper, and soy sauce. This feels much more complicated. Right. But the important thing is, it could definitely be automated by using this. Soy sauce, how is that made? That is made with a juicer and soybeans there. And then black pepper is made with peppercorn. Now, I do not have peppercorn, but again, we might be able to get some. Now, this also brings up the question, is there a way to also do this with the fish tacos as well? Like, is there a fish alternative? Raw toefish, there we go. And that's just done with kelp, so okay, we really can just bypass this. We are not going to need a fish or a cow farm or something. We're just gonna go with the vegan alternative. But right, okay, so all of this is relying on me getting soybeans. Where do I get those? Soybeans are obtained in a tropical garden. Okay. And the plant looks like this. Okay, now, my interpretation of tropical garden means a jungle, so I'm gonna go looking over here. However, I will admit I'm a bit skeptical. That's Komodo dragon. I'm a bit skeptical based on the fact that I don't see a single plant over here. Why are there two Brachiosaurus? How did you guys get all the way over here? Right, I am not seeing a single tropical plant here. Yeah, I have done enough wandering around in the jungle to conclude that I don't think it exists. That's a fly, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think soybeans exist. Oh, wait, is this what we're supposed to be looking for? Oh, this is probably what we're supposed to be looking for. I didn't bring a bed out here. I hope I'm okay. They're definitely not a common plant, though. Yep, this is why I didn't want to be out here late. Come on, please give me some luck. No, what about you? What the hell is that? That's kiwi. Is that it? No. Hold on, wait a second. There's loads of these plants literally in some of my enclosures. How have I never seen... Oh, wait, that's it. Wow, I really did not need to go walking far. There was one right here in my Brachiosaurus enclosure. But right, okay, let's just go and plant some of these a little bit more so that, like, you know, we don't run out in future. They do make a very pretty plant, actually. I really like the look of those. But right, okay, there we go. We've got over a stack of soybeans now and stuff. I feel confident that we're not going to run out. But right, okay, so back up here, we are going to be wanting to produce a lot of soybeans and stuff because they're going to be really useful. But right, so I use a saucepan to go and make a bunch of tofu like that. Then I can use a roller to go and make some firm tofu. Along with that, I also need a juicer which needs terracotta. Really? I wonder, can I just... Let's just go and see. No. But right, okay, so we get some tofu, we get some firm tofu, and we get some soy sauce. Right, and I forgot about the black pepper. I definitely don't have that. Great. Where do I find that? According to the wiki, it is found growing under trees in a tropical biome and stuff. A bit like that over there. Yeah, a lot like the things on plants over here. Now, that does make me wonder if it's really difficult to farm, but I'm going to hope that it's not. Right, okay, is it you? You kind of look like you could be it, maybe. Come on, please tell me I'm lucky here, please. That is... What is that? That is definitely not it. Oh, jeez, okay, it's the exact same one. Oh, that's peppercorn, isn't it? This looks exactly like the thing. Come on, tell me I'm right, please. Is that peppercorn? Yes! What was that I just heard next to me? Oh my god, it's a tiger. Okay, yep, let's go. Right, okay, now my question is, how do I actually plant this thing? Do I just... How does this work? It's considered a tree. I can't plant it on farmland. I can't plant it on the grass. Do I have to turn it into something? I can't do anything. Oh. I'm gonna be honest. What that is telling me is this is going to be a pain to farm. Oh, is this not automatically farmable? Okay, but the thing is, this pepper is used as an alternative for beef. So the question is... Would it be easier to just go with beef? Like, I'm just wondering, would it be better? Okay, now to answer the question of whether you should use beef or the, like, tofu or whatever it's called, I am wondering, how do we make the fish alternative? So the fish alternative is done with kelp, which is much easier. Kelp, I'm pretty sure, would actually be harvestable with Create Mod, whereas peppercorns might require a bit more work. Right, okay, I need to see how much peppercorn does this produce when it first grows. It has 8, and none of them are fully grown. I don't think that there's a way that Create Mod could automatically harvest these. And the thing is, I don't think that there's a way for Create to automatically harvest beef as well, but, like, it might just be easier. It's like cow farms are not a difficult thing to set up and stuff, so I might just have to go with that. Because personally, I don't fancy trying to work out a way to get Create Mod to work with this stuff, especially considering the fact that these don't start fully grown. If they did, there might be a way, but because of the fact that they don't, it's unlikely. So right, I guess we're gonna need a cow farm. That kind of sucks, I'll be honest. But right, what that does mean is I don't think we actually need to work on, like, producing the soy sauce or the firm tofu, so that saves a little bit of time. Because yeah, instead, we're just gonna need to go and start off with beef. Although, actually, I've just remembered, if we would also like to offer the alternative of fish tacos, then we are actually going to need to have some soy sauce. And also the firm tofu, so I guess just bring that stuff back. So, firm tofu and soy sauce go here. As for the tortilla, this is also going to get a bit annoying. So, right, we're going to need cornmeal. So, right, we can add cornmeal to our list of crafted stuff. Then we need to go on to the next set of crafted things, which is where we're actually going to go and make the tortilla. And then, finally, all of that should get crafted together into either a taco or a fish taco. There is also cheesy taco tortilla chips, which we could try and make, although I don't exactly fancy trying to get another crop. So for now, our restaurant offers tacos only. Also, I would put tacos in here, but I haven't crafted any and I don't want to. But right, okay, so basically our farm has to work by harvesting all of this stuff. So this is all the stuff we can farm. It then gets crafted into this. Some of that then gets used to craft into this, and then all of it is brought together to turn into this. This is a very complicated process. But right, we might as well make a start on it. And the thing is, all of this automated stuff is actually going to go right here, like behind our restaurant and underneath the main building and everything. Which does mean we are a little bit tight on space and stuff, because obviously I can't have anything come through the floor of this building, and also it can't go through the ceiling of the lab that we have below here. So yeah, I'm definitely tight on space, but this should be enough. The one thing is that I do need to work out where I'm going to fit a cow farm somewhere in here, which is maybe a bit weird. I think the best place for the cow farm might honestly be through a doorway down here and stuff, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna have the collection point for all this food here. So it would also make sense to just have access to the cow farm here as well. So like probably through a little doorway right here. Just because, you know, it makes it easy. I think the only thing notable is probably the fact that we're going to be using... How do you make this? I really just made the assumption I knew how to make that. Oh my god, it requires those. Are you kidding me? So I was gonna say I'm probably going to be using these things, the brass funnels, because basically they have an item filter attached to them, and that's gonna be useful because basically, remember how I said that it chucks out all of the equipment used in the crafting recipes with the result? We can use the brass funnel to make sure that we then send that item back around into the recipe rather than it trying to go forward. Because yeah, we don't want the grinder which we use to make cornmeal somehow ending up over here and like trying to turn into a taco. That's just not gonna work. So yeah, because this is a very slow and repetitive process and stuff, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chuck you guys into a montage and I'll show you it all at the end. Because honestly, I'm the one building it and I'm not even sure if my brain is able to keep up with what's happening. So yeah, I'll just see you all at the end. Let's get to work making some tacos. Yeah, so you see, the reason why this is being done in a montage and stuff is because it's been about 2 hours and absolutely none of the taco has been made yet. Like, there's gonna be a cow farm over here. This is where all of the plants, except for kelp, is going and stuff. Like, I need to put a kelp farm somewhere next to this, but absolutely no part of the taco exists yet. This is going to take a long time. Even know where to begin describing what I have made. Mortal minds cannot comprehend what I have brought into the world. That is right, everyone. Welcome back after the montage and everything, where I have done 12 hours of work. That is not a joke. This contraption has taken about 12 hours. Partially because I don't always have all of the resources that I need, sometimes because create mod's a bit confusing, but like, oh my god. Like, are you ready to see it? You're about to see it. This is it. This is it here. I can't even comprehend what this is doing anymore. Genuinely, I'm lost. I designed this about 2 days ago. I don't even know what any of this does anymore. This is by far my most complex contraption yet. And granted, it's not actually that complicated, but the reason why it is so complex really is just because it has to fit in this area. If I had gone and built this like any other farm and given it all of the room it needed, this would not be that bad. But right, how does this work? Well, let's go and start with the resource which makes most of the stuff here, the soybeans, which is actually getting harvested, except of course it's actually run out because it's the most used resource. But right, so under all of these cogs and stuff, we have this chest here which collects the soybeans, and that gets split and some of them get sent off into this saucepan to make tofu. The tofu then goes down that chute there and actually comes out right here, at which point the tofu is sent off that way and the saucepan is sent back round into the mixer. But the tofu that comes down here, it gets to go on a nice fun adventure through the ground onto this conveyor belt and all the way up to here, at which point it enters this filter which is actually looking for tofu and it gets sent off this way, at which point it's pulled through here and then it is split 50-50 in each direction. So half of it goes back this way onto the conveyor belt it came from, whereas the other half of the tofu actually gets taken over this way and sent through this chest system here. And if you're wondering why the contraption is so much less dense over here, it's because this was not intended. I intended this to all fit in the size of the room that I had, but no, when we expanded this, I had to go and add more. So yeah, half of this room was not intended to exist. But anyway, so the tofu is taken down here and it is mixed with a rolling pin, and it goes through the exact same process, separate the rolling pin and put it back into the mixer. However, the tofu that just got mixed with the rolling pin becomes firm tofu and gets sent into this mixer here. This mixer is combining a whole bunch of stuff like the kelp, which luckily doesn't need to go through any other process, along with the soy sauce. Now, where does the soy sauce come from? Well, over here, back where we started, as you can see, there's another conveyor belt coming out of the soybean machine, and that one comes all the way over here, which creates soy sauce, which goes up onto this conveyor belt here and actually gets filtered through that area over there, just like the other bit. So yeah, the soy sauce comes up here, gets filtered through here, gets sent straight over this way and into the tofish mixer. Oh yeah, I probably should have explained that. This is a tofish mixer, so it's our fish alternative. But anyway, so you get the point. It all mixes up together here, and that gives us our final tofish, which then gets sent back up onto this conveyor belt. That is right, this conveyor belt up here is used a lot. Gets sent all the way through here and comes out of this filter here. And this is looking for both beef and tofish, because it doesn't actually matter which one it uses. Either way, it will give us a taco. By the way, the half of the tofu that gets sent off this way, it goes through here and everything. It's our cheese alternative. Anyway, on to corn and everything. So corn comes up here and it gets turned into cornstarch or corn something. Is it cornstarch? Corn meal, which then goes and gets mixed with water. Now, this keeps running out, and that is just because I do not have enough water bucket. But essentially, it goes and mixes with the water and everything, and here is where the fun part actually comes in. So because of the confined space, what we actually use is a weighted ejector, and what it does is it chucks our tortilla and our saucepan up here. Oh, sorry, not our saucepan, what's it called? It's like a frying pan or something. So the frying pan goes back down there and of course into the recipe again, whereas the tortilla just comes straight up here and goes into here. Then finally, we've got lettuce. Yeah, lettuce just gets taken out of the farm down here, comes up this conveyor belt and goes right into the tortilla machine. And finally, once all of these little droppers have filled up and stuff, because of course they're all getting their own items. So let's see, of course, you've got your tofu here, you've got your lettuce, you've got your tortillas, you've got the tofu or the beef, depending on which one ends up in here. And then finally, you've got the chopping board, which is currently on its way around somewhere. Oh, there it is. It all just, oh, I just ruined that. But yeah, basically, so once there is one of every single item in the dropper and stuff, it spits it all out and then gets put in this mixer and it will spit out a taco. And then of course, like our chopping board can go off that way and up back round into the system. And this is working really well, actually, because if we go and check this barrel, as you can see, we've got over 2 stacks of fish tacos. And given the fact that each taco seems to be like better than a golden carrot, it's at least 5 hunger bars, but like it seems like it does more than that. That's just the most I've seen. This is an incredibly good food source, which I am really excited wanted to use. Also, by the way, as you can see, we've got our little cow breeder here. This just works by entity cramming the cows, and it's a bit cruel, but like eventually it'll start spitting out beef and everything, and yeah, like, you know how it goes. But yeah, that is the taco farm. It is an incredibly complex machine which is fit into an incredibly small space. There was a point where it was poking out of this wall before I fixed it. This video has taken longer than any other Create Dinos video purely because of how tight I have had to fit all of this in. Genuinely, I do not know how I have done it. I do not even know what any of these cogs connect to at this point. So if you want to try and reverse engineer this farm, I'm sorry, I don't think you can. It's an insane machine. I have no idea how my mind even came up with this. But the good news is it does actually work reliably. The only part of it that is breaking is just the little tortilla farm down here, and that's just because I can't fill this with buckets yet. But like, as soon as I get enough iron, that's going to work perfectly fine. And at that point, we're just gonna have infinite tacos being produced all the time. The only other thing that I can see maybe breaking this farm is if like one of these droppers fills up, but even then, I'm pretty sure that won't break it, because I think if we get an excess of an item, instead of it sort of backing up along this conveyor belt, what's gonna happen is it just gets spit out here, and this is just our little junk pile. So yeah, everything that ends up in this slot here is just waste items that aren't intended to be there. So like, if I go and chuck a carrot on here, obviously a carrot isn't used in the recipe anywhere, so it just gets spat out there. Now, the one thing which I do regret about this farm is just the fact that we've had to raise up the floor of this building. So the main building, which is intended to go right up here, originally the path was going to go at the same level here. However, because of some of the stuff going on over there, unfortunately, I can't do that. So it's got to go up by one block, which, you know, isn't that bad. Stylistically, we can do some cool stuff with that, honestly. But there we go. That is the taco farm. It is producing plenty of tacos. I do not need to worry about food for the rest of my life. Thank you all for watching. This took way too long. I'm just gonna go and eat my tacos. 12 hours for one farm.